This is Rob Carbone, and you're listening to BD4.
He loops out to left field. Going to be a tough play. Jeter on the run, makes the play. And flies into the stands. Oh, what a play by Derek Jeter. There it goes. Deep to left. Really deep. See ya. Oh, my goodness. What a shot by Aaron Judge.
Way back left field. You gotta be kidding me. Goodbye, home run. I swear to God, you gotta put four fingers up. Torres comes to the plate.
See ya. A home run by Derek Jeter. Oh, what a ball game. A game-winning walk-off home run by Derek Jeter. He is Mr. November.
This one by Mattingly. Oh, hang on to the roof. Goodbye, home run.
That is high, that is far, that is gone. A tremendous home run to the back end of the grandstand in left field. The Sanchino. No, that Gary is scary. Ball game over. Yankees win. Ah! Yankees win.
You know, it gets to a point where, personally, being that I've watched this team play baseball for years now, religiously, every day I will watch them. I'll watch all 3+ hours of every game. I've been doing this, at this rate for, I'd say, the past 5 or 6 years, maybe more. And so you see the same pattern, especially over the last 3 or 4 years, happening with this Yankees team. And you can't help but to expect these kind of things. And so that's why I'm not really going to be the normal, ranting, angry kid in this one. All right. This is something I expected. I totally expected it. Does it suck? Of course it sucks. Losing sucks. But this Yankees team is just not made to win. They're not built for it. And I mean that, in every way, mentally, the way their roster is constructed, they're just not made of it. They don't have the balls. They don't have that alpha mentality. They don't have that resiliency. They're made to be good, but they're not made to be great. And, it's again, it's not something that I can get really disappointed about right now. Because I see this shit year after year, and it's the same exact patterns. It's the same exact reasons to why we're going home early. Can't get good enough pitching. We can't do enough hitting. And lackluster leadership. Lackluster leadership. Not talking about players either. Not talking about players. Although, yes. But no. I have some notes written down for this episode 163, but I honestly don't know if I'm going to follow them tonight. There's so much going on in my mind, and maybe I should have probably waited a day to record this podcast and not 20 minutes after the final out of Game 5 of the ALDS, but I just want to put this Yankees team behind me, I guess. That's why I'm doing it. I just want this to be behind me. I'm tired. I'm really exhausted mentally. I'm just exhausted from it, And the weird part about it, even with all that, even with all that I expect for this team not to go far, you still put yourself in these false hope scenarios. For instance, when I was watching tonight's game, I still got frustrated when they did bad, and I still got up and jumped up and down when they did good things, like the Judge homer was the only good thing. They escaped a couple of jams on the pitching end, and I got excited. But deep fucking down, I always know this team's probably not going to last. Probably not going to last. They're just not built for it, man. They don't have what it takes. Sorry. The 2020, the new era Yankees don't have what it takes to win. Not a big fan of Aaron Boone. You guys all know that. Brian Cashman, I've tried to defend the guy so much, but honestly, he wanted his analytics puppet. He got it. Cashman's, front office geeks that make these stupid analytical decisions that have costed the Yankees big over the years, and again this year. That right there is what's killing this fucking team. Game 2, the analytics nerds strike again. Aaron Boone's cute little gimmicky sneak attack with, Garcia going just one inning to start the game. J Happ coming in afterwards, Lasagna going after. That shit failed miserably. And that right there is what the Yankees, that's what's holding back the Yankees. Shit like that. A-Rod made a really good point on the post-game talk show after the Game 3 loss, saying the Yankees are trying to play Jeopardy when they should just play baseball. Paraphrasing, but he said the Yankees are playing Jeopardy, not baseball. Something along those lines. And that's exactly right. That's what the Yankees are doing. They're not playing their game. What's that hockey dude? Herb Brooks? Play your game. They're not doing that. The Yankees in recent years, recent Yankee champions. 2009. All the way back to the early 2000s, all the way back to the late 90s dynasty. Those teams, those were the alpha Yankees. Those were the Yankees playing like the Yankees, the evil empire. Not trying to follow trend, not trying to get cute and be different. Go with the new era. No. They played old-fashioned baseball. They made contact. They hit home runs. They starting pitched. And they had a good bullpen that they didn't 110% rely on. Because the bullpen back then, when the Yankees were great, is what a bullpen should be. Guys you don't use unless you absolutely need to. Not guys that you use the first second you see trouble. I just don't think this Yankees team is going to win a championship. I don't know what they're going to do from here. I could sit here and tell you I want Cashman gone. I could sit here and tell you I want Aaron Boone gone. God, Lord, I that's something I would love. But honestly, do any of us think that's a possibility? Cashman is way too stubborn to admit mistake. He's not firing Boone. And I just can't see any scenario where Brian Cashman is gone. But he don't get me wrong, he's at fault for a lot of this. He built a roster that has lost continuously since 2009. And even during this new era, rebuilding session that started up in 2017, the Yankees are not 0 for 4 with it. They're 0 for 4. In 2017, when we lost to the Astros, the narrative was, okay, well, it was a year where we played above expectation. 2018 has got to be our year. 2018 happened. We failed again. Okay, we're still young. We're only getting better every year. 2019 comes and the Yankees fucking lose. Yes, the Astros cheated. Okay, so you come back out in 2020 with that excuse now out the window. Everything's fair game. Yes, a COVID season, but whatever. And the Yankees, here they are again, losing. We've got to stop finding excuses now. That's got to be it. We cannot have another one. Because that seems to be what it is every year. Something. The injuries. Always thrown in there as an excuse. That we can't. And you know what we also can't do? We can't say, oh, you know what? When 2021 comes, we'll have Luis Severino, Garrett Cole, Domingo Germán, possibly 1, 2, 3. James Paxton or Tanaka will be back. We can't do that. We can't play that game. We just can't do shit like that. At some point, if you're a true Yankees fan, and you watch this team every night, and you have for the past several years, you have to start admitting to yourself, maybe they just don't have what it takes. Maybe there needs to be a big change here. But what? Do we really see something happening? To me, I feel like it's just this one giant cycle. It's rinse and repeat every year. Because the Yankees are too stubborn to admit they're doing it wrong. Rob Carbone coming at you with episode 163 of BD4. Let's head to break, and I guess we'll start recapping the series. All right, fellas. So, really quick, I just want to remind you that if you haven't subscribed to my podcast on the many different platforms that I'm on, you can do so right now. And all you got to do that is go to my website. Just go to nysportstalkrc.wordpress.com/connect. Once again, in order to subscribe to the podcast and listen to the podcast or watch it on the many platforms we have, go to my website at nysportstalkrc.wordpress.com/connect. All right, so we sweep the Indians 2 out of 3, which, looking back at that now, it doesn't feel like a postseason series. At the time, maybe, but now, just felt like thinking back, it just feels like a regular season series. Then we get to the Rays series here. Game 1, the Yanks take a nice commanding 1-0 lead with a 9-3 victory. They get to Snell. Snell goes 5 innings, but he lets up 4 runs. Gives up 6 hits, 2 walks, so 8 base runners in just 5 innings. Yanks get to Snell. Got to the bullpen too. Stanton with the big grand slam in the 9th inning versus John Curtis. He broke that shit open. Eventually became 9-3 in the 9th. So the bats were good overall. The Yankees had 15 hits and 39 at-bats. A .386 average. They struck out just 6 times, which equated to a 13% K rate. Well better than average. And then hit 4 home runs. Bats were fantastic in Game 1. It just... On the other side, Garrett Cole getting his first ALDS start for the Yankees. After a couple of home runs to start the game, he kind of turned it on, right? I would like to think that intentional walk to G-Man Choi kind of fueled his ego, right? He didn't like intentionally walking him, but sometimes you have to bite your pride. And the next inning or 2, he goes out there and just goes balls out. Throws nothing but heaters, and he gets it done. Finishes the game with, 6 innings, emptied his tank towards the end there, and gets the bare minimum of a quality start, and gets the W. Because Green, Britton, and I think it was Sessa in the 9th, they closed it out, 7-8-9 in that order. So, it was a good Game 1 victory, yes. Game 2 comes along, though, and it's not necessarily the same. The Yankees take that loss. They have 5 runs versus the Rays 7. Take the 7-5 loss. And that's, again, what we kind of touched on in the opener. Where Boone's cute little gimmicky, surprise plan, didn't really work at all. It didn't. It failed. Garcia goes 1 inning, then you go with Happ, and then Lasagna after that. There they are, not being the Yankees, but they're trying to be the Rays while they're playing them. That's where that fucking lefty shit annoys me. You really think Kevin Cash, is afraid of Happ because his lefties are facing a lefty? I mean, come on. It's fucking J Happ. This isn't Randy Johnson you're throwing out there. This isn't fucking CeCe fucking Bathia. This is fucking J Happ. A 38-year-old man who's been, a veteran journeyman. A journeyman his entire career. Who's been average to above average, even when at his best. You're not surprising anybody here. Why is Happ and Lasagna? Why are those two getting more leash than Davy Garcia? Should have started the fucking guy. You should have just started him. I mean, you end up burning 2 starting pitchers in 1 game. A loss at that. Had Cole not pitched fucking well tonight, that would have hurt them. And honestly, maybe that Chapman home run doesn't happen. if the Yankees don't burn their 2 starting pitchers in game 2? You know? Maybe he's not even in the game in the fucking 7th or what was it, the 8th inning. The only positives from game 2 was Stanton continued to mash, and he actually had a really good postseason. 2 home runs that game. And Holder and Nelson combined for 2 perfect innings with 3 strikeouts, you know, when the game was kind of out of hand towards the end. You know, but the Yankee bats, they also got to Glass now, but, you know, that bullpen came in, and they just fell asleep. Gary, Judge, LeMahieu even, all came up empty. Those 3 specifically versus the bullpen. Then Castillo comes in the 7th inning. Puts 2 guys on with no outs. The Yanks are down 7-4. Big spot. Anderson comes in. Nick Anderson, one of the better relievers in baseball. Gets Gary, DJ, and Judge all to strike out in a row. No competition. Those 3 come up again. 9th inning. Another big spot. Still down 9-4. Fairbanks in the game. We saw him again tonight. He's got first and second with no outs. Frazier and Sanchez K. DJ does get an RBI single, but then Judge comes up and ends the game with a weak 5-3 ground out. Trying to pull an outside fucking pitch. And the bats, again, this is what happens when you can't put together good at-bats and good hits. When you can't string together hits, you lose. It's not just about home runs. The Yankees were 5 for 32, hitting 156, with 18 fucking strikeouts for a 47% K rate in game 2. They lost because they couldn't string together hits. Phone keeps vibrating because I'm fucking getting people hitting me up about the Yankees right now. Lord knows I hate talking about the Yankees after a loss. All right, we'll recap games 3, 4, and 5 as soon as we get back from break. On a few different social media platforms today. If you want to follow my Instagram account, follow @RobJCarbone. If you want to follow my Facebook or Twitter account, follow @NY Sports Talk RC. So game 3, you've got Yankee Nightmare, Charlie Morton, on the mound. He took the mound and he was fucking fantastic. Yanks ended up losing this one 4-8. 4 runs to 8, by the way. But Morton takes the mound and he's working quickly. He's pounding the zone with that 2-seam fastball he has. And he's getting ground ball outs, strikeouts. Just, you know, doing what he always does versus the Yankees. 5 innings pitched. 2 runs, 1 earned. And, you know, does the job. And the Yanks' game plan wasn't working. You know, early on, their plan was to jump first pitch, and that did not work. You know, it ended up with the Yankees just putting together poor at-bats, you know, non-competitive at-bats, and not getting the job done. And it's always the same pattern against Portland. They always, you know, just fall behind on Morton, and he works quick, too quick for them. Nobody steps out. They just let him do it. I don't know. And the bats that game, overall, they were terrible. 7 for 35, that's 200 batting average. I've got 9 strikeouts for a 24% K rate, still poor, and then just 1 home run. So again, not stringing together hits, not hitting at a high clip, and not even hitting the dinger. On the flip side, it's Masahiro's turn. Masahiro, I gave him the excuse in Cleveland. We all did, for the rain. But he shits his bed in his final Yankee start, because he's not coming back next year. Let's be honest. He shits the bed. He's hanging sliders left and right again. Both times through the order. No adjustments made. The Rays are just jumping on him. 2 home runs allowed. One to Kiermaier, and the other to TBS's favorite guy, Rosarina. TBS just fucking loves saying his name. We played a drinking game out in the man cave where, you know, every time they said his name, we drink. I didn't, but, you know, because my deal is I won't drink my first sip of alcohol until the Yankees win a World Series, ironically enough. And it looks like I won't be drinking any time in my life. But 2 home runs to both of them. And by the way, TBS is horrible. Chad Green comes in later, makes a bad mistake, throwing an 0-2 fastball to Perez in the 6th inning. He knocks a 2-run shot, and that pretty much puts the game away. Rays were up 5-2 before the pitch. Chad throws the 0-2 fastball, and it's 7-2. Eventually, it's 8-2 once Sessa gives up an inherited run with a double. Why Green didn't throw the curve there or any kind of breaking pitch, some kind of waste pitch, I don't know. But that's where he conflicts me. Sometimes I love that he attacks hitters and uses that fastball, but I feel like it's a little too much at times. Sometimes you got to change it up, find that balance. And then the Yankees burned Frazier. He had a potential pinch hit situation, but they, double pinch, I guess, and they're bringing Ford to pinch hit, which made no sense. And that's another stupid analytical decision from the FO upstairs, where fucking the Yankees just go with their nerds, telling them go with handedness over talent. Just for that lefty on righty matchup. And that's game 3. The Yankees lose that one, 8-4. Game 4, last night. The Yankees get that win to kind of cock tease everybody. A 5-1 victory. Montgomery, very strong, surprisingly. Goes 4 innings, allows just 1 run. Maybe he should have won 1 more inning. I was hoping he would have won at least 1 more, but hey. He pitched fine. He struggled against righties, but he got the lefties out. He did walk 3 and allowed 6 base runners overall, but he got the outs. Chad Green came in. He was nasty. He was terrific. Zach Britton, afterwards, wonderful. Love Britton. Makes me comfortable when he's on. Got the ground ball outs that he does. And then Chapman got the final 4 outs of the game. An interesting decision, but look again tonight. It seems Boone was relying on him heavily. Offensively, Voit got that spark plug solo shot. He nuked one out in the 2nd inning for the 1-0 lead. And then later in the inning, DJ with the bases loaded sac fly makes it 2-0. The Rays probably left their opener, Ryan Thompson, in a little too long. But I'm not complaining there, right? 2-0 Yankees. Then Torres opened up the game with a big 2-run blast later in the 6th versus Yarborough. And that was, the big damage of the game. That's why the Yankees won that. Torres kind of breaking it open a tinge. That made it fucking 4-1. Higgy had another good day at the plate, and also amazing behind it, blocking a bunch of tough pitches that Montgomery just threw in the dirt. And he's been good all postseason. He was good. He was good tonight, too. But the bats were just absolutely great again. When the Yankees win these games, it's the same story. Hitting at a high volume, and here they did, hit 324, 11 hits, and not striking out, just 13%, 5 strikeouts, and hitting some home runs, 2 more homers. They had that formula. And again, getting good pitching on the other side. So, they take game 3, and they give you that false hope. And then we get to tonight. We get to game 5. Where the Yankees, they just couldn't do it. Tyler Glasnow opens up the game with a couple of innings. Doesn't allow a hit. A couple of walks. Garrett Cole gets out of a tough bases loaded jam in the 1st inning. Very wild and erratic, but he gets out of it. And he really pitches good. Goes 5 1/3. Just 1 hit, which was a solo shot. I forget who, but... And really, that was, the Yankees and Rays all game. Just a tight-knit matchup. Aaron Judge ended up getting the best of... It's all a blur to me now, but somebody... was it Nick? It was Nick Anderson. Gets a solo shot where he missed. Aaron Judge did not get all of it, but it still went out because, he's a big dude. 1-0 Yankees. Aaron Judge finally provides another big hit, but he had a terrible postseason. Can't change my mind there. 1-0 Yankees for a while. And after Cole's night's over, after 5 1/3, they go with Britton. Britton does the job. They then go with Chapman in the 7th, trying to get 7 outs with him. Gets out of the 7th, pitches in the 8th, and remind you the Yankees are away this game. And so the bottom of the 8th comes, and Chapman gives up that fucking home run to Brosseau again, following that same storyline from at the end of the regular season. Brosseau, that's got to feel good. And I'm sure the cocky Rays were just so happy for him. And I'm sure he was letting Chapman know. I didn't even see. He lets up the home run. I immediately look down, and I don't look up for the remainder of the game, honestly. I didn't. I was just too deflated. But again, I expected it. And so that's your Yankee season. Yankees go down 1-2-3 in the 9th against Castillo because, of course, they do. That's it. The Rays go on to advance, and they play the Astros. They do. Not the Yankees. So for the 4th year out of 4 in this new, revamped era where we're supposed to have this dynasty, the Yankees fail again. They can't get it done. The offense, that lineup, way too boom or bust. It gets into these slumps where they aren't able to hit elite pitching. And then on the other end, man, that fucking pitching staff, and I'm not just talking about the rotation, but both the rotation and the bullpen, is a giant fucking mess. After Garrett Cole, who can you rely on? I mean, did you really, even if the Yankees found a way to scratch this one out and pick up the victory, don't even know if that's the right term, did you really see them going all the way with this rotation? I mean, after Cole, you had to pray that the offense could put up a 7 spot. You really did. And that's not how you win championships. Pitching wins championships. Why do you think the Rays and the Astros are taking off? The Rays now. You don't have anybody. And even Tanaka. Tanaka, I love you. You were very clutch for 8 starts. 8 playoff starts heading into 2020. But you shit the bed. And you left a really bad taste in my mouth. You can't rely on him right now. You couldn't. He didn't look good. You can't. J Happ. The fuck are you going to look at him for? Guy's 38 years old. Average at best. He's been terrible in both postseason starts as a Yankee. He comes in and gets, the chance in game 2 and he shits the bed again. He's terrible. He's fucking terrible. You need legitimate guys that are going to scare opposing lineups. And Garrett Cole is the only fucking one who does. They're so far from having a World Series caliber rotation. It's fucking mind-boggling. It's mind-boggling. The offense, man. When you have a Judge, Stanton, and Sanchez in one lineup, it's not going to work because there's going to be at least one of them, maybe 2, who aren't going to be on, and that's going to impact everybody else. In this series, I understand he hit a home run tonight. Big one. But this series, it was Aaron Judge and Gary Sanchez, not on. Stanton was unfucking believable, and I'll be the first one to admit it. I did not think this guy would have the postseason that he did. But the other 2, and I'm mentioning these 3 guys in one sentence because these are the 3 sluggers of the team, right? The primary sluggers that everybody talks about and hypes up and have been since 2017 or since we got Stanton. But it's when you have so many guys like that who hit so many home runs but also strike out at a high clip, that shit never works. And there's Aaron Judge. What do you have? 4 hits and just under 30 at-bats this playoffs? Bad. And he struck out a lot. I can guarantee you he struck out at least 30% of the time again. Gary Sanchez, his numbers were even worse, where he didn't even play in some of these games because he's been so bad on both ends. So when you have a bunch of sluggers like this, it just doesn't work. You need more guys like LeMahieu, like Urshela, who can play two-way, who make contact, who hit the homers naturally when it comes to them, and who just play good baseball. And I just don't think the Yankees have that fundamental team. Defensively, they're a mess. Torres is just a complete liability out there. We saw it again tonight. We saw it a couple times this playoff. They just don't have the team. They don't have the pitching staff. The bullpen is not nearly as deep as it used to be. It's very average after you get to Britain. And the lineup just doesn't cut it. So all around, you got some really glaring issues. And then you got to credit the Rays. The Rays are a good team. But that lineup, I just feel like the Yankees pitched very scared this series. They were very scared to throw strikes. A lot of fucking nibbling. A lot of nibbling. And maybe that's just what new era baseball is, but a lot of nibbling. Not many guys went right at them other than Chad Green, who might have done it a little too much. But a lot of nibbling, a lot of walks, a lot of deep counts. And that lineup the Rays have is, sure, they're resilient, but I felt like the Yankees should have attacked them way more, like Garrett Cole did. Tanaka didn't do that. Happ sure shit didn't do it. Montgomery did it, I guess, but he was still nibbling a lot. He pitched well, but he was still nibbling. Nobody, and even the bullpen, again, nobody really fucking attacked them consistently. That lineup isn't that great. The Yankees should have went at them more. It's that bullpen. It's that starting rotation that's going to get them to the top. But that lineup, the Yankees should have attacked them more. They should have won at that Rays lineup. But game 2, man, that's going to be the game everybody talks about now. That's going to be the game. That's it. Let's head to break, and we'll be right back. So, really quick, I just want to remind you that if you haven't subscribed to my podcast on the many different platforms that I'm on, you can do so right now. And all you got to do that is go to my website. Just go to nysportstalkrc.wordpress.com/connect. Once again, in order to subscribe to the podcast and listen to the podcast or watch it on the many platforms we have, go to my website at nysportstalkrc.wordpress.com/connect. I don't even know if I have anything else to say. Again, I didn't read off the notes other than recapping those couple of games. I didn't really write anything else down. I just went right to the podcast tonight. I didn't take time to take any additional notes, which is what I usually do. I'm probably missing some shit that I really wanted to talk about. Some important shit. So what I might do is have, if after, once I publish this podcast, if I feel like I didn't mention as many things as I should have, then maybe I'll do another episode, an end of the season wrap up. But I'm pretty sure I covered a good amount tonight. I mean, again, it's just this Yankees team doesn't have what it takes. And I say it. I've been saying it. You've all called me negative. But just take a step back and realize I do it for a reason. I do it because I know this team so much better than a lot of you guys. And I'm not trying to be cocky. I really aren't. I'm not. I'm just saying, though. I'm just saying it's something that I don't think anybody but me, it feels like at least, knows. This team just doesn't have what it takes. They're not that World Series Yankees team that they really need to be. What are we moving on to the Knicks now? I guess so. Gotta take a few days, maybe a week, maybe more. We'll be back with some Knicks. Oh, man. Yeah. What are they going to do, man? Trust me, I'd wish that we'd get, a GM like Cashman to do what he really needs to do. I wish we would get a manager with balls, not some analytics puppet who was scared to make moves of his own. I wish. I really do. But that's not happening. You all know that. The Yankees are way too stubborn to admit defeat on their decisions. It's just not going to happen. And so we're going to go through the same process next year, rinse, repeat. They'll have a regular season where they get to the playoffs, and they'll get to the playoffs, and you guys will hype them up and say, this is the year, this is our year. And they'll go through the same shit, but by the end, same exact shit will happen. They'll exit the playoffs because they go down swinging, because they can't pitch good enough, and because they've got a manager who just simply doesn't have that alpha personality. The Yankees aren't cut out to win. Stop making excuses. I know a lot of the fucking younger generation of Yankees fans will make excuses. They will. And they'll get really mad when you tell them that. But it's true. It's true. This team doesn't have what it takes. They're not the Yankees that they should be. And it's not happening next year either, I can tell you that. Because I don't see these major changes happening. I don't see some overhaul. Because people are going to call you crazy because the hype right now says that the Yankees are built to win. They're just not getting lucky? Is that it? Let's head to break one last time. And when we get back, I guess we'll wrap it up with the NYK question of the day. I don't know. I'm on a few different social media platforms today. If you want to follow my Instagram account, follow at Rob J. Carbone. If you want to follow my Facebook or Twitter account, follow at NY Sports Talk RC. I know the NBA Finals is actually still going. Game 5 was tonight. I know the Lakers were losing late, so I have to check out to see if that game's over. Hopefully it goes a little more, because I would like to watch that over the next couple of days. Oh, life is gonna fucking suck without watching baseball. The Yankee baseball. Let's get to the QOD. All right, so last time out in episode 162, I asked you guys what team did Hideki Matsui last play for before he retired? Which MLB team? And the answer to that question, ironically enough, is the Tampa Bay Rays. Was the last major league team he played for. Tonight's episode 163 of the podcast, I am asking you, which Yankee made the last out of the 2017 postseason? Okay. Which Yankee made the last out of the 2017 postseason? Who was it this year? Gio? Yeah. Gio didn't have a great series. Even LeMahieu kind of cooled off in a couple of games. But, it was Giancarlo Stanton carrying us. It was Torres who was hot at the plate. And nobody else was really in rhythm, Voit had the home run in Game 4, but he wasn't really hot. A lot of guys were quiet towards the end there. Can't say I didn't tell you, right? I just wish the Yankees would play old school baseball again. This new school shit, you fucking morons love it. You love it. I'll never understand why. Alright, guys. I think that's it for the Yankees, man. I think that's it. If I find that I need to do another episode to, say more than I did, then maybe I will in the next in the next couple of days. But it doesn't look like I missed anything. I'm trying to think. I don't know. I hope I didn't miss anything big. That's it. Guys, thank you for following along this whole year. I really do appreciate the support. I know I don't get many listeners, watchers, viewers, anything, but I do it because I love it. Also, I get a penny per minute or per listen. But no, I do it because it's a hobby. I love baseball. Of course, I love the Yankees. I just don't, have the popular opinion, right? That they're this powerhouse. Everybody wants them to be. But hey, they are 0 for 4 during this process, and I'm 4 for 4. So, who's right in the end? Guys, thanks so much, and we're gonna be slowly transitioning to the New York Knicks. Hooray! Yeah, over the next couple of weeks. So it's gonna be something different again, and we always transition once the season ends. And here we go again. Guys, thank you so much for following along. I'm your host, Rob Carbone, with episode 163 of the podcast of BD4, where there's no better way to get your Yankees and Knicks analysis. Guys, if you haven't subscribed to the podcast, I don't know what you've been doing all year, but do so now. Go to my website, nysportstalkrc.wordpress.com/connect, and subscribe there. Follow the podcast on the many platforms that we are on now. And again, I thank you so much for tuning in. If you guys want other Yankee podcasts to listen to, I know another great one that you should definitely check out is Yankee Crazy Podcast. My buddy Greg, who's a huge Yankee fan, I've been on his show a couple times, and he does a remarkable job. He's really fucking good at what he does, and he deserves all the listeners in the world. Greg is a friend of the show, and we've been texting during these games and talking about this team, and so that makes it easier to cope with. We've got Yankees fans unite over shitting on their team when they're playing bad, but that's it. No reason to drag this down any longer. Guys, thank you so much. I'm your host, Rob Carbone, signing out. And I'll see you, I guess, when we're talking about the Knicks. All right, ciao. This podcast is sponsored by Anchor.